Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. This is for entertainment purposes only, and if you're entertained, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. So, I was at the conference today and I learned about this company, and this is a company that I have extremely high conviction of, and if they ever IPO, I will 100% be YOLOing all of my money into it. And I can say that because they're never going to IPO, but I am still very, very, very excited about this company. And let me tell you why. So, it's actually because of the founder and the CEO. So, who is also the CEO? Anyways, he is one of the few people that I can say is a role model for me. He was just, and when we say just, but he was a Google employee. And he thought to himself, hey, Angular, which is a front-end framework for JavaScript, he said, this sucks. There must be a better way to do this. Also, React, which is the JavaScript framework that Facebook created, also sucks. And life can get better. So he single-handedly created Vue.js by himself with no support, no sponsorships, and now Vue.js is the third most popular JavaScript framework. And that is just such a cool underdog story. And he hasn't changed. He is very focused on making other people's lives better. And so he created this company called Void Zero. It's void0.dev. And they only did fundraising because, well, first of all, they are maintainers of open source, which means that the public can view the code and the public can create code for this project. So they maintain these projects. And so they fundraised recently, and now they're offering the developers that go above and beyond and are very passionate about these projects full-time work. And so these projects that a lot of people, like millions of people, rely on, and sites also, rely on these things to improve our lives, he's made it his mission and he's found a way to help people. So this is just an example of what I would be looking for. I'm not very interested in, a rich person that found an opportunity and they were able to do something because they had all the capital in the world. That's not, to me, the most inspiring story. To me, it's like, well, this guy worked hard, he had a vision, he had conviction, and he was able to get people to adopt it because it's really nice to work with, and people really want to be happy while they're at work and able to do their jobs. So that was a really cool introduction in the conference, and I really wish that we could invest in this, but we can't, at least for now. But during the conference, because I'm not really great at sitting and listening to things for hours at a time. I know, why am I a manager? Anyways, I created, so this is, I just wanted to show you Evan Yu. He's one of my role models. He's pretty cool. Anyways, I decided to, because it really does turn out that you can't do leap options in retirement accounts, I'm going to go ahead and do, the regular pie chart of this is the core of my portfolio. It's going to be 50% 50% XDTE, 40% VU, and then the leveraged and I'm going to do that for growth. And then I split growth into, I want a portion of it to be in small cap and then value. So it's a 30, 30, 10, 30. And I also made it so that when I have like a smaller amount of money, I can just put the smaller amount of money over here and get like the amounts that I needed, and just compare it, the ideal to the current day. And in that way, I'll get my portfolio balanced here at some point, and we'll be able to get this party started. And one of the reasons why it's like this is if we go to my retirement account, I've got all of these that are expiring. And so I will let them expire this Friday, and when I have that buying power, then I will disperse it. And then they told me I didn't have enough money to purchase everything. So once everything's settled, it was the way that I was doing it. I was doing the trailing stop orders instead of limit buys because we were having a little bit of a red day. And so if I put in the order here and it goes down and then it goes back up, and then I purchase here. So instead of buying it here, I purchase it here. At least that is the idea of it. But yeah, that was the biggest change I did here. I also figured out the spy call situation. I think my problem, and nothing says I'm an advanced trader like I pressed the wrong button, but apparently I can't do a covered call because I don't own 100 shares of SPY, but I can sell a call because I have the leap. So basically, instead of being able to use their like strategy main section, I just have to go and click on the date in the mobile app. And for some reason, the mobile app is just more intuitive for me to use. So like I'll do my research on my desktop, and then I'm pretty much just going to use the mobile app to do the banking in the future. I'm usually the opposite when it comes to like banking. I'd rather just do it on somewhere I can have a bunch of screen. But if Robinhood's going to be like that, then they're going to be like that. So this, I put it in today. It's expiring tomorrow, so I'll probably try to roll it over myself. Although I might also just ask them to do not execute this. I don't know. I just don't like to have to spend money on it if it's outside of this is nowhere near, what is SPY worth right now? SPY is definitely worth something. Yeah, it's $596. So we're not even close. So I don't want to pay 5 cents to get out of it because it would expire worthless anyway. And then I can just put in a new order. So we'll see what I wind up doing. I think they prefer it if we buy to close, probably because they get commission if we do that. But they said that there's no limit to how many times I can tell them to not execute. So I guess we'll just try that tomorrow. And so I'm looking forward to not having these things in my options anymore and having my margin be at a reasonable level. I think that this is still too low. I also got my ulti sold yesterday because I had a trailing stop in place from before the election, and it met the criteria. So I'm just denying the dividends this time, taking my profits, and in 31 days, I can buy shares of Ulti, which isn't the end of the world. And I'm still bullish on Ulti. I was just not convinced about some of their holdings. So, anyways, I think I also, before I let you leave, is I was really embarrassed that I went on and I read the wrong part of the Robinhood legend. And like what happens is, I think in my mind, it would make more sense for the put to be on the left-hand side of the screen than on the right. But there must be some kind of a banking thing where it is on the right instead of the left. So I was like, yeah, if you put out a put, like you sell the puts and you get $7,000, why would you do that if you're only getting $100 for Misty? That's not it. But the thing to realize with that is, like, well, do you want to own MSTX? Like, would you have a problem with it being in your portfolio? And two, MSTX has a volatility of like 200%, and Misty has a lower IV. I think it's like a 50% IV. And I'm not sure why Robinhood Legends is not working. Yes, I would like for you to load. That would be really great of you. Yeah, so if we look at the readable options here. So, like, are you just going to be really slow? Okay. So the IV of this this is for MSTX. You can see it's like 240. MSTY. Here. The IV of this is like 130, so it's like half. So to get a similar premium for Missy, you would have to put your strike closer to the current price, which, like, for like getting paid $450 for a $33 strike price is not bad if you don't mind paying $33 for 100 shares of Misty. And then you could take the $450 and next Thursday you can buy it on the ex-div date, or you can buy it before then and just use this as, like, this is distribution money that's already been paid and I can just, put it forward. Treat it like that. So, like, there's nothing wrong with that. And the only problem with, like, MSTR is, like, I guess if we were just going to keep with the December 20th theme, their IV is not much above Misty. So, and also it is at $330. So even if I tried to, like, well, I could do a leap on this, but then I'd have to do covered calls, and I've not been having a lot of luck with covered calls, honestly. But one of the reasons why I'm gravitating for MSTX is that, like, one of the things against MSTX is that it has like an 80% margin maintenance, which I think if I get assigned, I might get margin called like pretty quick. But other than that, like, if you look, if I put out a price and I'm getting, like, I put out a strike at $71 and I get paid $1,600 and I get assigned at $71, then I can then put out a call at $71, basically doing the wheel strategy, and then get $3,000 for selling it at the same price. So it's like, you know, it's not the worst thing that's happened. I like the fact that the the calls are so high, like the premium for the cover call is so high. Um, it's kind of surprising, like with Bitto, the put has really good premiums, but the call, selling your call doesn't have a great premium. However, you also get like a 60% yield on Bitto. So it was just one of those things that I was looking at, like, is it in my price range? If I get assigned, I do the wheel, can I get a good premium either way? This is like, I was just going for, I want, if I'm doing a call, because Misty's like a fractional covered call, right? So if I'm going to do my own cover call and take on that risk of having just one contract, I want to get paid more than what I get paid on average for Misty. And I can do that with MSTX. So I wouldn't mind owning MSTX, at least for a little bit. And, or Mr. or Misty. I just think that Misty is a little expensive right now. But, if you don't have $3,000 and you're not in Misty and you're getting that FOMO, then, buy a couple of shares, get in, feel good about it, but then do the majority on the ex-div date. But I'm not sure if I even went over this, but like, I am bullish on Bitcoin in the long run. And in the long run, if you buy MSTX at $90, well, MSTX is kind of, when Bitcoin does eventually plummet with the winter, it will not be great to own MSTX because it's probably going to lose 90% of its value. But if you stick around, because it's a 2x, you'll still make out in the deal, like in the future when Bitcoin's worth $500,000, $1 million, $100 million, however much it winds up being worse. Like MSTX will in the long run, be something that you could, anyways, when you're looking at Bitcoin, your question to yourself should be, what is my time horizon? Because when you purchase Bitcoin, there is a transaction fee. And that transaction fee is actually really expensive. Well, relatively expensive. I'm used to free banking, but so it's exactly like when you go to a bank with US dollars and you say, I want to buy Chinese yuan, and they charge you a fee to convert the money, and then they hand you a bunch of bills. That's exactly what these exchanges are, because Bitcoin is a currency. So, and then you pay a transfer fee to put it in your cold wallet, which I would recommend doing because you never know what's going to happen with the brokers. And then you pay money to transfer from your cold wallet to the broker. And then you pay money to convert it from Bitcoin to your currency. So like there's a lot of fees involved. So if you're planning on selling your Bitcoin in less than 2 years, then ETFs are pretty good. But monetarily, if you're holding it for more than 2 years, it would be cheaper to own Bitcoin. But my other attitude towards this, if I'm owning Bitcoin, I'm not getting income from it. So that's why I like Misty, because I'm, getting my big income from Misty, and then hopefully I'll get 100% ROI, and then Misty can do whatever it wants for the next 2 years, and then as long as this fund does not fold, then I will be in Misty. Although, and hear me out, when Bitcoin plummets and MSTR is less than $100, $330, yeah, so I might actually take out a leap on MSTR and sell cover calls on it myself, because especially when it's doing bad, and if Yield Max starts doing like reverse splits and stuff, my concern then is, will the fund shutter? Like, and I know and let me discuss this part too, where I had this yesterday, but I don't think I have it queued right now, but Bitcoin for the last 16 years has been following the same 4-year cycle. And usually what happens is you have the halving, and then at least 240 days later, that's when the all-time high is. At least the first one. There could be a lull, and then a few months later, there's a spike again, but like the big all-time high is around 240 days later, which with this halving, that would put us at Christmas Eve. And that would be the best Christmas gift ever. But what could have happened is, because of the election results and people believing that this is like the bull run, it could have accelerated the pattern. So like this could be the high for this cycle. And it could mean a prolonged bull run. So like nobody knows if this bull run is going to end by November, or is it going to go into December? Is it going to go past January? Are we going to have a spring bull? I don't know, but I do know that at some point, if you don't take your profit, you better hunker down for another 3 years. Because once it plummets, it's not going to recover. It's just going to trade sideways until the next around the halving. Because then, people say like, oh, Bitcoin's dead, whatever. And then you have the low for the cycle. And then, people are starting to get what the pattern is. And so like this time, there was an all-time high right before the halving, which is weird. But I do believe that Bitcoin, because it was programmed to be like this, and traditionally after the election, there is a surge. So I'm pretty sure that they did that on purpose, where they have this, and then the market's good, and people are happy, and so everything surges, which is fine. So where that comes in is, what do I recommend with Bitcoin and purchasing it? And so like, I don't believe it's a bad time to get into Misty. I just want you to, if you have, and maybe you don't have, like if you don't have $3,000 to, if you get assigned the put, and you don't like you don't have to have the money until you get assigned. Well, I mean, I guess you do, because it's cash secured puts. But what you could do, like, oh, I don't have $3,000. If you go to the April, and these are the calls, and you say, well, I have, these people are insane. I have, $730. And that's not even that far out of the money. If you're like, I really want to buy this at $23, you can, and if you have $1,000, that is right? We buy to open. Okay, yes. You could buy it at the price you want. Then you can do calls. You can sell calls, and it's going to be the same thing. So you would have spent you're like, I don't want to spend more than $26 on this. So you spend $950 instead of $2,600 to secure the Misty thing. And then you turn around and your first call that you do, you get like like $1.40. You get $140. So like you can do it for a while and you'll get your money back pretty quick. And then you can exercise your leap if you really want to, or you just keep doing covered calls. It's not really a covered call, but you keep selling calls off of these shares that you don't own. And that's a way that you could get into this. I'm just sharing that as an option, but I think now that I'm explaining that, because MSTY is a dividend, like a very high dividend payer, this is like when I was complaining about Bitto, where or Ybit, like it doesn't make sense to do a covered call on Bitto and not get the distributions too. But it's an option, and you can decide, like, can I get a premium from selling the call that would be equivalent to the distribution that I could get from Misty. Like, you bought it, you bought the leap, and you get $4.70 in premium. Okay, well, that's probably more than the distribution that we're going to get. I feel like I'm going in the wrong direction. If I bought the cover call at $26, I would want to put it, well, we were going to want to put it above. Anyway, so you say, like, I want $2 of dividends this time. You would have to put it really close, or you could put it out more. And, just for me and my personal taste, if it has a high dividend, I would rather own the stock as I do covered calls on it. Because, we're going to get like a $2 or $3 distribution on Misty this time. So why would you, spend $1,000 and then only get 75 cents per share? That doesn't really make a lot of sense. And even if you put it at, $2.10, like, you're probably going to be in danger of it actually being in the money, and then you'll have to pay to roll it forward. So, I just want to put it out there as an option. Like, it's good to explore what all of your options are for buying into Bitcoin. And I think because of the 4-year cycle, I'm, just hunkering down with my positions pretty much and riding the wave. And once it hits 100,000, I am going to be taking or approaching 100,000, I'll be taking profits. And if it gets more, then it gets more. But I do know that I don't want to get stuck with these as an ETF for 2 years. So, and I say 2 years because it's a 4-year cycle. And, in 2026, I'm hoping that I'm correct and that the pattern from the last 16 years holds up, and so that should be a pretty cheap time to get into Bitcoin. So if you're trying to get into Bitcoin for this bull run and these results, you are playing with fire, and you might miss the gravy train. But if you buy Bitcoin and it's at the all-time high, just like write down your seed phrase and log in once a year and just calm down and don't sell anything, and don't take out a mortgage, don't take out personal loans, don't use too much margin. Just use money that you would be sad if it went completely away, but whatever the most is that you're comfortable with. So hopefully that clarifies my opinion on Bitcoin, because I feel like online all I've been saying is the crash is coming, and I mean, it's inevitably going to go down at some point, but no one needs to. I just don't want people to FOMO $10,000 in right now. If you have $10,000, I would recommend doing the option, and that way your patience has some rewards to it, but also just protecting you from purchasing Misty at $40 and then all of a sudden eventually is at $5 and then you go, but it did a high ROI, what happened? We know how yield max works. We know that in a prolonged down market that it's going to trash these funds. We know that they're just doing covered calls, so there will be some volatility during the winter. It'll just be trading sideways, which is actually not too bad for these kind of funds, because if Misty hangs out at $10 and they're still paying $1.50 each month, I'm still going to be happy about it. So as long as yield max can just mirror move with the underlying, I'll be pretty happy whatever Misty does. Anyways, I had a good time at the conference, and now I am just really inspired to get the most all the things done on my website. So I'm going to go now because one of the seeds files is corrupted and I'm not able to update any of the website until this is fixed. So I will talk to you all later. What's a company that you know of that hasn't IP'd yet that you would just invest in because you believe in it? And I'll talk to you later. Bye.